Hello, you'll be astonished to learn that your government is putting big business interests ahead of your welfare, safety and prosperity. This was pointed out by Jon Stewart in a recent interview with someone out of the government. He says the free market isn't that at all. And yes, I've got a microphone in my chest here. Bonjour, guten Abend, you 4 million arising souls. Let's talk about the nature of the free market and Jon Stewart's recent conversation with, wait for it, I've got this, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen.
I think the 2008 crisis is a great example. You know, instead of...
She's nodding away, yeah, this is good that you're bringing this up. I'm happy about it because we in the government handled 2008 financial crash very well. So I can nod away confidently at this.
A big fire hose of money being turned on those mortgages that went underwater and brought them back to sea level.
To be transparent, the reason we're using Jon Stewart is because Jon Stewart is formally, and as far as I know, may yet remain, a darling of the liberal media. He's adored, enjoyed by them. And here he is pointing out, as he did often on his great daily show, you know, for all those years, the hypocrisies and anomalies within government from a perspective that you can't say is, oh, this is all right, this is Trump, you know, because you know where I stand. I'm outside of the political system, not because I'm super radical and I'm a soothsayer from another dimension, just because having watched it my whole life, I've felt neither of these, I don't trust none of these clowns. So that's where I stand on it. I know some of you, because I read the comments, like Donald Trump a lot. I know some of you have all sorts of interesting sets of opinions and views, but Jon Stewart, I think, is interesting because what we want is to form a consensus that goes beyond the bounds and limitations of the former model, because the former model isn't going to work. And I would point out, those of you that love Trump, Trump was president for 4 years. And I know what you'll say is, oh, he was stymied, he weren't able to, the system prevented it. But I don't think anybody, whether you loathe Trump or love Trump, could be either that bad or that good, because the system itself, as is being explained and demonstrated in arguments like this one, is entrenched and immobile and intransigent and self-serving. So it don't matter if you pop Gandhi in there or Jesus or Malcolm X or pick your hero. The system is a machine that sustained itself above all else.
They chose to pour money into those bundles, and a lot of people lost their houses.
People had every reason to feel unhappy about what happened.
This is a good person to employ to do this job, I say, because she looks absolutely adorable.
Well, I guess we may have, in 2008, we may have propped up some of the interests of the powerful, but we didn't mean that.
Is that necklace made of baby skulls?
No, yes.
The purpose of intervening so that big financial institutions and markets didn't completely fail was to avoid a drying up of credit in the economy. If those financial institutions had been allowed to fail, the toll on ordinary families would have been not only bad, which it was, but unspeakably horrendous.
Ordinary people and their preservation is not the goal. If it was, you'd set the system up entirely differently from the get-go. That's the argument that's always employed. I know the system's bad. I know it's corrupt, but it's the only thing we can do. It's such a shame, especially for me, because I get really rich out of it. Every night I lay on my bed of money, trying to think of a new system where the money bed wouldn't be there beneath me. There are limitless ways of organising society, and people that say there's only one way are usually in some way invested in that way being sustained.
Mm-hmm. We would have been looking at something like the Great Depression.
At this point, what we're essentially addressing is the problem of the system. That's why I'm not a reformist. That's why I'm not a centralist. I believe in radical change, the dismantling of these institutions and the placing of power in the hands of ordinary people. How are you going to do that? Explain how you can do that exactly. My general guiding principle would be, how are the lives of ordinary people affected by the decisions of the powerful? How close to power can ordinary people be? Where can we decentralize? Where can we redistribute? A conversation like this one immediately takes you to the point that the reason these problems exist is because they're supposed to. As we learned recently, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's not a problem within the system. This is what the system does. The system creates poverty. The system centralizes wealth.
I think for people, they would view it as, well, if I'm going to lose my house, that's a crisis, and I don't have a backstop. But corporate America gets all the benefits of American stability and fiscal policy, but bears none of the responsibility. I'll give you an example. Walmart.
Millions of Americans employed at some of the country's largest companies have had to rely on food stamps and Medicaid, with giants like Walmart and McDonald's employing the most workers whose income is subsidized by taxpayers, according to a new study. The report found that in every state studied, Walmart was one of the top 4 employers whose workers rely on food stamps and Medicaid. McDonald's is among the most subsidized employers in at least 9 states. The reason I think this is interesting is because we're continually told that we live in a free market capitalist system where competition wins out. It's social Darwinism. If you come up with a brilliant idea or a successful product, you deserve to become rich and successful. Well, here are some of the richest and most successful corporations in the United States of America relying on you to support them. You are having to provide welfare benefits to people that have got full-time jobs or part-time jobs that they may survive. What that in effect does is allows Walmart and McDonald's, etc., to glean massive profits at your expense. Remember this new emergent paradigm and equation that I have noticed, that the function of government is to help to get public money, which is your money, out of your pockets and into the hands of private interests. Julian Assange pointed that out with the Afghan war, with that famous quote. But when you look for it, you see it everywhere. You see it in healthcare. You see it now in straight up commercial enterprises.
They make billions in profits. Their workers are one of the largest corporate users of social service programs.
And it's not just Walmart, as Jon Stewart was pointing out there. McDonald's in 9 states, about 8,780 people receive those benefits. In 6 states, 4,600 employees are enrolled on Medicaid. Then there's Amazon, and barely a day passes by when I don't see that geezer telling me how much money they're making. Well, 4,000 warehouse workers at Amazon depend on food stamps in 9 states. Other corporate giants who have a large number of workers relying on federal benefits, including Dollar Tree, Wendy's, Taco Bell, Subway, Uber, Target, and Dunkin' Donuts. Walmart reported more than $5 billion in net income in the last quarter, while McDonald's reported more than $1.7 billion during that time frame. Whenever we're talking about aspects of systemic corruption or systemic crime, the important thing is the rules are set up in a manner to prevent meaningful change and to control the outcomes for ordinary people and people in elite strata of society. So this whole story, in a way, points out the futility of the conversation, the futility of trying to reform, reorganize within the bounds of the system, that you can't achieve equality within the system. You can't achieve improvement even within the system. You have to begin to set up alternative systems.
Why don't Walmart workers share in the profits of Walmart?
In the capitalist system, companies have a right to distribute profits to their shareholders. Mm-hmm. They're not forced to. There's nothing in the law that forces them
aren't we subsidizing
to share their...
People are starting to suspect that this system is very, very corrupt and can never be changed and will always destroy people's lives. Send out that sweet little grandma to talk to Jon Stewart.
Oh, hello, John. I baked you some cookies. They're made out of the eyes of people who were made homeless during 2008.
Oh, thanks, Grandma. They just trot that grandma out every time someone gets too close to realising the system's corrupt and it's never going to change no matter who you vote for. Quick, get the grandma.
Oh, we're ever so sorry about that. Has the pandemic been ruining your lives and making billionaires richer? Oh, well,
would you like some cookies? There's these eyelashes in this.
They're chocolate chips.
This is the insidious part, I think, of when we talk about that we have a free market system. Because what it makes it seem like is that the natural order of things is that Walmart makes billions in profits and can distribute it to its shareholders, and that's just how it goes. But we know that we, the taxpayers, are subsidizing their workforce.
McDonald's spokeswoman Morgan O'Mara argued that the data was misleading. Well, I bet you would. The company has long opposed increases in the minimum wage, but said last year that it would stop lobbying against such measures. I can't promise to stop lobbying against the increases in the minimum wage, but I will try to stop lobbying. I'll try to stop lobbying. The report shows that 70% of the 20 million food stamp or Medicaid recipients work full time. So 70% of people that are receiving Medicaid and food stamps, they're not scroungers. They're not like, oh, it's these scroungers, that's the problem. Scroungers, immigrants, other poor people in slightly different situations. No. We've been lied to. There are centralised authorities in allegiance with centralised private interests colluding to sustain this system. A 2013 study from researchers at the University of California at Berkeley found that 73% of people receiving government benefits were from working families but had jobs that pay wages so low that their paychecks do not generate enough income to provide for life's basic necessities, which wouldn't be a very good Jungle Book song now, would it? The researchers released another report in 2015 showing that more than half of all fast food workers were in families where at least one member relies on public benefits, costing taxpayers more than $150 billion each year. So on top of that bailout in 2008, which was like a number that you can't even say without thinking you're in a Philip K. Dick novel, a quadrillion zilligabots worth of money, there's this $150 billion you're going to pay people that are doing their bloody job already right now. Walmart's Political Action Committee spent $1.65 million on political donations last year, according to Open Secrets, a program for the Centre for Responsive Politics that track the influence of money in politics. That's why I say it before and I say it again. Get money out of politics. What do you mean by that? Lobbying primarily, making donations to members of Congress and Senate. Ban it.
They're getting the benefit of our tax dollars. So it's not free market.
I think the thing I take most offence at from this announcement is the idea that the 2008 crash and financial impropriety and crime more generally is just this sort of thing that happens, like a windstorm or a gargoyle falling off of a building and landing on a pram.
Oh, it just happened. There's nothing we could do. Once it had happened, we had to just simply deal with the situation.
When you know in your heart of hearts that loads of people got seriously rich, as many people that suffered as a result of the 2008 crash and all the people walking out of buildings with boxes and plants and all them foreclosed houses and all that desperation and poverty and the subsequent movements around it, political and otherwise, you know that people got double rich from that situation. And these days we do videos, in fact I'll point to one at the end of this, that shows you that people in Congress and in positions of political power make money from trading and financial speculation to pretend that these things are unrelated, that this is some separate world.
Oh no, look, another gargoyle's fallen in a pram. Oh no, another gargoyle's fallen in a pram.
Have any of you been betting on gargoyles falling in prams? What? Like, you can't, even though that person like seems really lovely, it might be really lovely. I don't know nothing about her except she seems a little bit like my nan. You know, like the fact is that she's in this instance a spokesperson for the biggest lie of all. Nothing can be changed. No one benefits from it. It's unfortunate that you're poor, and in fact it's somehow your fault. You've morally failed. You should be a Wolf of Wall Street in a pinstripe suit, trading and a gambling. Well, some people's lives didn't pan out like that, and part of the reason that your lives don't pan out like that is because there's a centralised system preventing it from happening, and people at Walmart are making a profit because people at Walmart are being paid by your taxes if you work, and if you work at Walmart, you know what it's like, and you don't need me to tell you. We're blamed individually for problems that are social and cultural, whether it's mental health or addiction or poverty itself. These are not failings of the individual. These are failings of the system and the state. And if you just trot out a nice old grandma to say, oh, well, we tried our best, but these gargoyles kept falling in prams, that's duplicitous and untrue. And if they're the kind of people that are being offered for leadership and advocates of the state, then that tells you that the whole system needs to change right now. New voices, new people, new systems. But that's just what I think. Who cares what I think? I'm the man from Sarah Marshall. What do you think? Tell me in the comments below. Let me know your views. Share this around. Give it a thumbs up. Have a look at this video where we talk about all the Pelosi and congressional insider trading if you want. Here, you should probably subscribe to my Awaken Inside channel and do a little meditate. Most importantly of all, please click here. This is my mailing list so I can communicate to you. Most importantly of all, stay free.